Hi and welcome to another elegantly raw tidbit with me, Dorit, here today. So, we're talking about movement. Most of you do not know that I also am a certified movement therapist, movement analyst, and certified personal trainer as well, because I don't just study one thing. Many of my clients who I've trained and worked with, they, as a movement therapist or movement analyst, think that I only work with injuries. Those who I work with as a personal trainer think I just do personal training, and all of them think I only do that and do not know that I'm also a chef, a professional certified chef, and also that I am a recipe creator. So if people work with me in one capacity, they think that's all I do, but I believe in the full human being. I don't just study one thing, just so happened to have gotten certification in them because I liked what was being taught and I wanted to learn that. But I believe in studying the full human because that's what I want to be. I want to always look at what different versions of myself exist and explore them. And I think that's why we need to really look at movement in our lives and the value and benefits of movement and why it is actually part of our own structural makeup. Not just look at food only or meditation or belief systems, because we are created for movement. Everything in life is about movement. Everything. There's movement everywhere. There's movement with the sun, the stars, the moon, the wind, the trees. We are movement. There is so much movement. If we stop moving, in my opinion, we start dying. And so many of us spend decades dying because we've stopped moving. And most of us live lives where we sit in a vehicle, we walk maybe to the bus station or to a train station, or from the car to wherever we're going after we've parked it. And then we come home and we drop on a couch or a sofa or something else, and then we go to bed. We get up the next morning, we start the same thing, or we go for entertainment someplace and we sit down again. And most of us have not explored the full capacity of our own movement abilities. How many people have watched Bruce Lee and said, "Oh, I don't think I could do that"? I very much admire the Shaolin monks, the monks at the Shaolin temple, because movement is actually the basis. The Kung Fu that's taught at the Shaolin temple is taught even to children, and they simply regard it as part of living and being alive. Most people think monks just sit around and meditate all day, but part of meditation is actually through movement. And that's where we conquer our demons or fears or limited beliefs of self, is when we explore our bodies and our movement. Some people think the Kung Fu at the Shaolin Temple is extreme. It's not extreme. We are capable of all those movements. We're capable of so much movement. So whether you simply go jogging with yourself or with a friend or with a group, and you just use that to be out in nature and just begin to move so you can breathe. When we move, the breath changes and the rhythm of our life changes. If you do not like the rhythm of your life right now, where it's taking you, do not like the version of yourself you've created, move. Move. Whatever you do, just move. Whether it's the most beautiful movement of a dancer, whether it's the beautiful movement of skiing, or whether it's just exercise. This to me is exercise. This for me is exercise. I personally do not enjoy this, but then I used to be a professional dancer, so maybe that's why. I like movements which are very expansive and then come back in. And one of the things that I do is I teach postural alignment. Why? I will talk about postural alignment in another elegantly raw tidbit. That our posture really tells us who we are. If you're a trained movement analyst, you can look at a person's posture and you can tell so much about their lives and their belief systems and what they're struggling with in their lives. The body doesn't lie. In fact, there's a book called The Body Doesn't Lie that actually goes into this as well. So I recommend you read that if you would like to. And I strongly suggest that you find something that you really love to do if you've not been moving. When I was in New York City, and I lived in New York City years ago, um, I was interviewed by a very well known broadcaster, anchor, and interviewer. And she asked me, she was doing a whole thing about women, very successful women in their 20s, I think, or under 30s or something like that. And she was asking me, what do you think is more important? Food? No, she didn't say food. Sorry, she said diet or exercise. Those are the things she asked. And I changed it to food and movement. I said I would like to change those terms to food and movement. But she said diet and exercise. And I thought that was a very interesting and important question. And then afterwards, when I was doing workshops, I was constantly asked by people which one I think was most important. I think they're equally important. I don't think there's a competition going on in our bodies for what is. But I do know that if we eat in a way that brings clarity into our lives and elevates the energy of the cells in our body, we will be more prone to move. But I also know that no matter what you eat, even if you're on a clean fruitarian diet and there's no movement in your life, you are suppressing the immune system, your digestive system, all your organs, and of course the lymph and the kidneys. So I'll go more into details with this when I talk about postural analysis, but I invite you today to rethink any thoughts you have on being constantly in one place and immobile. Mobility is so important in our lives. So please do not think one is more important than the other, food or movement. They're both equally important. And so think about this and begin to really change your own version of yourself and see all the different things that you didn't think you could do, whether it's playing tennis, whether it's skiing, whether it's snowboarding, whether it's taking a contemporary dance class that will move you in ways that you've never moved before. But just go out in nature and start moving. It is so important. So I invite you to do that today. Then come back here and let me know what difference you saw in your life, because the only reason why I do this is to motivate and inspire people to try different versions of themselves. Thank you very much, everyone.